Please welcome the director and star of All Is Great and Powerful, Sam Raimi and Zach Braff.
Hi, guys. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Hello, hello. Hello, sir.
Wow, what a welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, guys. Thanks for coming.
I'm most excited to be wearing this Madonna microphone.
Should we do a song?
I could dance, but I'll save it for the end.
So, guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
How
you
are
for
you
having
feeling?
us.
Yeah, it's so welcome to London, indeed. So, Sam, let's start with you, because this is a prequel, if you will, to The Wizard of Oz, and that's a concept that would send many a filmmaker scurrying for cover. Did it initially do that to you?
Yes, I was afraid of the fans of the original classic saying, "Don't tamper with my memories," and there's such a reverence for that great film, The Wizard of Oz, directed by Victor Fleming, 1939. And I have it myself. It's my favorite picture of all time.
Okay.
And I was afraid if I made a wrong step, the fans would react badly. But then I read the screenplay, and I was really moved by the story of a selfish man who becomes a selfless man. And it was an uplifting experience for me to see the growth of this character. And I thought, if I can capture the feeling that I have from reading the screenplay and put it into the movie, the Wizard of Oz fans who may have been doubters will come along.
Okay. And in the movie, Oz is played by James Franco, and his friend in Oz and in the real world is played by Zach. Now, Finley, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Zach, you play Frank and Finley. Could you
Please
talk
make
about
sure to buy Apple products while you're here.
We're on commission.
Yeah. On the way in, I was like, oh, this is kind of an appropriate time for me to ask about some questions with my iPhone 5.
We've got a lot of geniuses here. It's
All
all
right,
good.
good. I'm going to tackle one of them.
Can you talk about Frank and Finley and who they are?
Yeah, well, just like in The Wizard of Oz, in this prequel, there's the world of Kansas, and then James Franco gets transported to this magical world of Oz. So in Kansas, I'm his assistant. He's a magician in a rundown circus. And then when I land in Oz, when James lands in Oz, he comes across this 36-inch tall flying monkey who's cute and funny, and hopefully, and becomes his sidekick, his friend on this journey, in a similar way that Dorothy stumbled across the Lion, the Tin Man, and the other guy, Scarecrow.
And so to play Finley, you went full Andy Serkis, didn't you? You went full blue onesie on set.
In the spirit of Andy Serkis, and Sam can speak to this, he didn't do the full dots on the face motion capture style. And Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but he wanted to really capture a video performance of my face. So I would often wear a blue onesie I just like saying blue onesie.
You're obsessed with that onesie.
Yeah, I love that blue onesie. Because I just fit it so well. And then I would literally just cramp down on the floor often to be, put my butt on the floor and hunched over, and I would act with everyone, and they would videotape my face, and then the animators would then take all that video footage that Sam edited together and create the monkey's face.
Okay.
And that was an important step for us, was working with Joey King, who played the China Girl, and Zach, who played the Winged Monkey, was to really put the essence of their performance into these animations. We wanted to really get the spirit of it, their soul. And I felt, along with my visual effects designer, Scott Stockdyke, that if we did a motion capture, which is the preferred technique nowadays, and let that performance be interpreted by a computer and let it drive the animation, that it would be a soulless, cold thing.
Yeah.
And we wanted something with the human spirit, the human heart intact. So we worked with his great performance that Bob Murawski, our editor, edited, and then we worked directly with our animation director, going to the human animators who by hand animated the Winged Monkey, his character, and the China Girl. Although they're using a computer, it's all hand done. Each choice is made not by a computer, but by the human heart of the animator.
When you walk around the Disney hallways, there's amazing pictures, and one of them really caught my eye, and it's of animators when they were making Bambi, staring at a young fawn with their sketchbooks, and kind of just taking notes. And this made me think of that. Sam sort of went in a 2013 way, went back to that and said, I'm going to have a video performance, and I want them to even though they're using a computer, I want it to be hand done, not sort of a computer interpreting the gestures.
It was a technique suggested by my visual effects supervisor, Scott Stockdike, because we really wanted to. Everything we did was about trying to capture your spirit and the spirit of the people giving the performance.
Okay. And Sam, what made you look at Zach and think this guy could play a winged monkey this tall?
Well, I needed help creating this character. As good a job as the writers had done, there was still a whole personality and a soul that I needed somebody to create, to live. And I met a few actors for the part. And when Zach came into the office, I just had an instant rapport with him. He seemed like he had a warm spirit, a generous spirit. And I thought, that's what the wizard needs for his friend, somebody with real warmth. And then Zach's a great writer, and he's a director in his own right, and great collaborator. So he really contributed a lot of lines and bits. And when him and James got on the set together, they really sparked some very sweet, humorous bits that really bring the film to life.
And Zach, there's not a lot of winged monkeys out there. I've checked. I've Googled it. And so how did you research
Well,
this
actually, it
role?
was quite annoying. I got to the set, and I met James for the first time, and he had just come off Planet of the Apes. And he's like, actually, I just worked with another CG monkey. And not only that, it was the Andy Serkis, who's, the best there is at doing that stuff. So it was a hard act to follow. There's no research to be done. I mean, when you're a flying monkey. But
Just wing it.
just British humor.
Sorry. Hey, we did Python. We did okay. So should we take a look at Finley in action?
Yeah, let's see Finley.
We have a
doing
clip
his thing.
now of Finley and Oz.
So when you
and
see this clip,
yeah.
it's fun to say that I'm literally crouching on all fours, walking next to James when we shot this, and then it gets replaced and becomes this eventually.
And you might recognize the road they're walking on. Let's take a look at the clip. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
Zach, how much of that was improvised, that particular bit?
I don't know pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of a big hodgepodge. We had some great writers, and then some jokes I would just riff on. I don't know exactly pieces.
And Sam, as a director, what's it like when you have people like James and Zach?
Cut Up an Onion was mine.
Okay, there we go.
It's great working with actors like James and Zach because when you have great actors, they know how to make the scene work. They know how to bring finesse to a performance. They know what line to remove because it's redundant. They have a sense of what the audience knows already, and they have an eye for repetition. They know when it's best not to communicate an additional point, to let the audience use their own imagination and fill in the blanks. So it's great working with great actors because they know how to make the scene work.
Okay, and in that scene we saw the Yellow Brick Road. How much of that was real? How much of what they were walking through was real?
Well, the Yellow Brick Road was a set piece that was built, and about a foot and a half on either side of the road, the grass was real. Beyond that, our CG artists carried on the world.
Okay.
And it was very important for our production designer, Robert Stromberg, and myself, to really capture what we wanted in the frame and build these sets as large as possible so that the CGI artists, and there are thousands of them, there's probably 1,000 of them, have a real clear idea of what it is that we're going for in each and every shot. The texture of the fabrics, the look of the plaster on the road, the feel of the grasses and the dappled lighting that's falling upon it. This way, when you send out shots all across the world to be done by all of these different artists, they see precisely what you're after. And it's actually the best way to have a consistent and look throughout the whole picture and have control over the look.
And is it useful, Zach, having elements of a set?
Yeah, I'd
there?
never been on a movie this size and scale, so I didn't know what to expect. I had seen 300 and the behind-the-scenes footage, and I thought we were just going to be on like a blue screen stage.
Yeah.
But Sam really, as to what he just said, wanted the actors to have things to interact with. So there were gorgeous, huge sets. The whole length of that Yellow Brick Road is probably the length of almost of a football field.
Wow.
And there's enormous big set pieces that were there, and then the CG would sort of take off where the set ended. So in this case, a foot on either side of the Yellow Brick Road, but in other cases, Glinda's castle, there was a huge courtyard, and then where it stopped, that's where the blue screen would continue.
And Sam, you have these touchstones from the 1939 movie that you almost have to get to in this movie, The Wicked Witch, and you have the Yellow Brick Road and whatnot. And you have references to scarecrows and lions and things like that. But how much of it is breaking this story and bringing your own elements to it, and your own vision as well?
Well, for me, it wasn't about bringing my vision. It was about recognizing this great story that Mitchell Kapner had wrote, the screenwriter, and obviously he based it on Baum's works. And it was about bringing that story to life. And then it was about the specifics. How do we make this character's goal seem real? How do we make this interaction between these two characters dramatic and the conflict more dramatic, more overwhelming? I mean, it came down to the basics of filmmaking for me. So it wasn't about how to put my stamp on, but how to tell the story the best.
Okay, so you have Oz, you've got Finley, we've got 3 witches as
Yes.
well. One good, one bad, one TBC. Can you talk about those characters, Evanora and Theodora
Sure.
and Glinda?
Well, this story is about how the wizard came to the land of Oz. It's really like a prequel to the story of the Wizard of Oz. And so not only do we get the story of Oscar Diggs, a small-time carnival magician who is brought to this marvelous place, and how on earth he became such an unlikely character, became the Wizard of Oz, this great man who holds the witches at bay through their fear of him. But it's not only that story, but it's the story of the witches too, who they were, how the Wicked Witch became the Wicked Witch, who her sister was and what their relationship was, how Oscar helped create the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
So because it's his story, it's all of their stories. Okay. And so we touch on the witches and as young girls now, or young women, and we have Rachel Weisz playing Evanora. First, we think that she's the keeper of the Emerald City, that person who is in charge in the absence of the king who's been poisoned. And we believe that she's the only thing that stands between the Wicked Witch and the good people of the Emerald City. Later, we'll find out who she really is. I don't want to spoil things for the audience, but
Sure.
She plays a light and a dark version of her character. Same with Mila Kunis, in fact. Mila plays an innocent girl, the sister of Evanora. She plays Theodora. And the wizard, as the picture starts, is something of a cad.
Yeah.
He's a heel, a womanizer, and he's an incomplete character. It's only once he gets to Oz does he find the elements of his character that he lacks. So when he first gets there, he meets Theodora, Mila Kunis. He's smitten by her, and he woos her, and then dumps her. And so broken-hearted is she.
Casual, yeah.
What's that?
He's very casual.
Well, it's an Oz booty call, if you will.
But from that place of a broken heart, she's vulnerable to her sister's manipulations.
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz is the sister, and she turns the screw. And now in Theodora's heart, that heartbreak turns to anger and then rage, and she becomes this woman scorned. And to silence her pain, she decides to take a bite of the apple, so to speak, and become the Wicked Witch of the West,
Okay.
so that she can have her vengeance on Oz. So everybody, I won't go through all the characters, but they play a light and a dark version of themselves.
And we actually have a clip now with Evanora and Theodora. Zach, Finley's not in this one, I'm sorry
Yeah,
to say.
should I leave?
No, just stay for the time being. We'll see how it goes. Enjoy the clip. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Okay, I'm sensing that some of you have questions for Zach and Sam. I can just feel it. So we have roving microphones going around. Put your hands in the air, please, if you have anything you want to ask. Yes, right at the back here of the seats.
Hi, congratulations on the film. It's really entertaining.
Thank you. Thanks.
I want to ask, it's a PG-rated Disney film, and
Yes.
it's still got your standard scary moments and jumping into the audience. How do you get that through Disney, saying we can have flying baboons screaming at children?
Well, the Wizard of Oz, the original Wizard of Oz, had so many moments of horror in it. It had the Wicked Witch who throws that fireball and sets the scarecrow on fire, and this guy's burning alive. And then they had those winged monkeys that tore the scarecrow apart like nothing. And then they've got our heroine who takes that pail of water or acid and throws it on the villain who melts down. So there really is a lot of violence and horror in the original Wizard of Oz. And this one, Oz the Great and Powerful, doesn't come close to that level of darkness. We really just have some frightening, spooky winged baboons, and a wicked witch is revealed in all her terrible glory to be this terribly frightening old hag. But really, I don't think there's too many things that were in the story that had to be tamped down to be acceptable to an audience.
There's not really any violence. It's just a couple of scary moments with a freaky baboon. Not me. I'm the good guy.
Any more questions now? Just put your hands up. Oh, wow, lots. Yes, please, over here. Thank you. And then we'll come here.
Hi, Sam. Your
Hi.
first movie, The Evil Dead, was a very low budget, and the current remake that you're producing uses supposedly no CGI. But this movie obviously has a lot of CGI. What are the differences between working with physical special effects and then having like an entire world created from a computer?
Well, it's just about, I think the main difference is where the energy is spent producing the visual effect. If it's an on-set effect, like in The Evil Dead, you spend the time in pre-production, in rehearsals, and practicing working with the artificial limbs, whatever it is, the blood effects, and you take the time on set to get it right. And it's got to look perfect in the camera if you want to do it without CGI. So a little bit of lighting, and it's a little bit of time. Now, with a picture like Oz, we had to use CGI because the world Oz that Baum describes in his Oz books are so fantastical and outrageous that there really was no way to create what he wrote about except through the use of the computer. So that's a lot of pre-visualization time, working with different artists, figuring out what it's going to look like, and then deciding which pieces of the set are going to be real and photographing it. And then in post-production, a tremendous amount more of work, of continued animation, lighting, and finishing of the frames in CGI. It's about where that time is spent. Less time is spent shooting the picture to get the desired effect.
And Zach, as a director, is CG an arena in which you'd like to go, ultimately?
One day. I mean, I've only made one small film, but one of the great things about being an actor and a filmmaker is that I get to have this grad school by watching someone like Sam work. And it was, as the super film geek, for me, it was so fun to just be on set. And the other actors would go back to their trailers, and I would just kind of hang out on set and watch often because I was just so fascinated. And I learned a great deal watching Sam do this. So maybe one day, but I don't think I'm quite ready yet.
Okay. I think there was a lady here in the front row, and then we'll come back to you over there. Thank you.
Zach, I wanted to ask, what process do you enjoy most doing? Working on film, working at theatre or TV?
They're all so different. It's a good question. I get a lot of energy off of theater because I like having the audience response and when you're doing something dramatic and the audience is silent or funny and they laugh, it's such a high for an actor.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's sort of limiting because only X amount of people can see it. So then getting to do a big film is a totally different experience and wonderful too. I think most actors would say they want to do it all. You want to. I mean, although some actors are afraid of doing theater, but for the most part, I think most actors want to shake it up because they're all just so different. So I got to do this film, and the film I had done before, it was $1 million film that we made, on the fly in like 20 days. So
It's a great movie, Garden State. Have you guys seen Garden State? Yeah. Such a great movie. I love that film. And Zach is so modest.
What'd you say? I went to Columbia High School. Oh, hi. How are you? Came a long way for this Q&A, but so it's a good question. But just shaking it up, doing it all. Once you do one thing as an actor, you very often want to do something so different. I'm sure, as a filmmaker, Sam would say the same thing. He probably doesn't want to start right away another 3-year movie.
Not with you, I don't.
Hey.
But I would love to make a simple picture. That's right. Variety is the spice of life, especially in the movie business. It's great to challenge yourself and try different things all the time.
Okay. There's a lady over here who...
My question's for Zach. First
Yeah.
of all, I just want to say thank you for Scrubs because half of my dialogue on a day-to-day basis is quotes directly taken
Thank
from
you.
you.
And
so
your American accent is amazing, by the way. You must be working hard on that.
I have, day and night. So my question is, what was it like watching the film and seeing your voice coming out of this monkey's mouth? But not only that, but also your very own physical choices kind of manifested in this cartoon winged monkey. That must be quite bizarre.
It's a great question. It was very surreal because there's about 8 stages or so till he's complete, as I understand it. And I when I would go on set, you'd see sort of a rudimentary, almost like a really rough video game version. And then as Sam was further and further in post-production, you'd see him getting a little bit further and further. But I was kind of nervous, to be honest, because I've never done anything like this. And I would go in to do ADR, which is when you add extra sound and voices. And he still wasn't looking like he does now. And I was like, he's not done, is he? You know? And Sam was like, oh, no, there's like 4 more stages. You know, because he said 1,000 people were working on this in post. I mean, so I was nervous. Actually, what was cool is when you go and see rough cuts, there'd be a picture of me, like almost like picture-in-picture, of me, a video of me acting the whole thing out on the cuts. So there were times when the animators had done something slightly different than I was doing, and I was like, Sam, that's not what I did. And he was nice enough to push them towards doing what I did. So yeah, it was really cool. I mean, little things, facial tics and gestures, all seeing in the face of this monkey when it was finally fully realized was incredibly wonderful and really gratifying after so many months of work.
On set, did you carry a suitcase with you?
That's a funny question because the monkey carries this suitcase, but he's this tall. So Sam came up with this great idea since I was acting it all out that he should come up, have the prop man build a scale suitcase for me to lug around. So I thought it was funny until I tried to lift the damn thing, and so it was great though for the video reference.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally built a suitcase that was probably this big, and I'm lugging it around and acting the whole thing out with the suitcase.
Fantastic. We've got time for 2 last questions.
Thanks. Sam, I thought Spider-Man 2 was probably the best superhero genre movie that there's been. I was really disappointed you didn't get a chance to do Spider-Man 4. I was just wondering, are you going to get a chance to do Evil Dead 4?
I'd love to make Evil Dead 4.
Are
right
you
now,
going to?
I hope to. I don't. My brother's
That's not
here.
a yes?
It's. I'm not certain. I'd like
Come on,
to.
Mike.
My brother and I, we're going to take the time, hopefully this summer, to work on the script. I do plan to. Yes.
So could
Yes.
That's a firm yes. Fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
An exclusive.
Thanks so much.
You badgered him, I like it. So
Thanks, Sam.
could Evil Dead
Thank
4
you.
exist alongside the Evil Dead remake? Is that something that you guys have thought about?
We don't think about anything too much, but I think thinking about it right now, it could. Yes.
Okay.
Because Evil Dead remake does not have the Ash character. It's a brand new set of characters in a similar situation. So the Ash character is still either trapped in time in the far-flung future in a blasted London, or he's working at S-Mart. I'm not sure, based on the Japanese version of the American version. But that's what Evil Dead 4 would probably pick up.
Okay, shop smart, shop S-Mart. Yeah, that's the one last question. Yes, please. There's a lady smiling at the very, very back.
Just yell it out. All right.
There we go.
One of my favorite chapters in Scrubs is My Way Home.
Oh,
you
yeah.
directed it.
Oh, thank you.
So,
wow.
how do you feel becoming from Dorothy to a monkey?
Okay. Well, you probably don't even know this, but there was a Wizard of Oz episode of Scrubs that I directed.
Wow.
Yeah,
you should see it.
We didn't have quite the budget you had. But it was a lot of fun to direct that. Your question is, what was it like having done both? I've always loved The Wizard of Oz, and I loved it as a kid. And when Bill Lawrence, the creator of Scrubs, decided to do a Wizard of Oz themed episode and chose me, I was really, really thrilled. And we had a lot of fun making it. And to this day, I think, as I hear from fans, it's some people's favorite episode. So then I got to be in this. So I guess there's a Wizard of Oz theme to my life. I'll have to keep it going.
Fantastic. And on that lovely note, that's it, I'm afraid.
Thank you guys
thanks
so much for coming.
You guys are a
Really
wonderful
appreciate it.
audience. Thanks for sharing tonight with us.
Sam Raimi, Zach Braff.
Thanks for
you
your
very
warm
much. Thank
welcome
you.
also.